Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Decatur to order. We got some housekeeping to take care of before we get started with the first order of business. The approval of the minutes is previously distributed to you via email. I need a motion to make that a matter of record.
I'll make a motion to approve those. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes as distributed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All approved. The proof of publication and affidavit of adjoining property notification has been distributed. Have you reviewed those? And I'd need a motion to make both of those matter of record, please. So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The proof of publication and the affidavit for application has been approved as a matter of record. First order of business this evening before the Board of Zoning Appeals. Matt and Stacy Leiter, 4125 North 450 West Decatur, Indiana, are requesting a special exception and a variance of the front yard setback to construct a detached garage at 332 North 17th Street, Decatur, Indiana. Refer to City Code 150.065 and 150.070. Is the applicant here this evening? Sharon, did you make sure the microphone's working? I can't see the little red light.
No, it's not on. It is.
Okay, would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Stacy Leiter.
Address, please.
4125 North, 450 West, Decatur, Indiana.
And would you make your presentation to the board, please?
Yes, I have offered all of the building plans. We would like to build a garage for personal use and requesting the variance for the front setback to be 25 foot on that building.
Is there any additional information that you feel would be of value to the board?
I don't think so. I submitted all of the building information, size, information on the property.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board for the applicant this evening?
What is the normal setback?
Normally, it's either 55 feet from the center of the street or 25 feet from the property line back, whichever one is greater. In this case, the 55 feet from the center of the street back would be the greater.
For an accessory structure, it's required an additional 25-foot setback.
So you're requesting a 25-foot setback?
Yes. And more for the driveway, the cost and expense of that was going to help with that.
And that lines up, I read somewhere, and that lines up with the other buildings along there. 25-foot setback would line up with the same setbacks for the other buildings. Okay, one other thing, I probably should mention it, was a few years back, this lot was being sold or given to Habitat for Humanities, and there was a sewer line issue. Well, I understand that sewer line has been moved to the north. It's not an issue anymore?
It's been relocated to the north of the property.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Do we have anybody in attendance this evening in opposition for the application? If so, would they come forward at this time? Hearing none, is there anybody in support of the application? Hearing nobody on that, do we have any additional questions from the board?
No, I don't. None.
I can't think of any.
Anything from the building department?
Building department's good. We've had none of the department hasn't brought anything to our attention, and we've had no feedback whatsoever.
Okay, and then a question for the city attorney. We have a variance and a special exception request tonight. Which one gets considered first?
I would think that your special use exception would go first and then your variance.
All right. With no additional questions from the board or from anybody in attendance, building department and city attorney, are we ready to read the findings for special exception?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go through and I'll read the findings for the special exception, and we will poll the board members. A yes agrees with, which would grant, a no would disagree, and anybody that says no, we're going to ask you to explain the reason behind that. The first point that we're going to deal with tonight is the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare.
Yes.
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 4 yes. The special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property value within the neighborhood.
Yes.
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 4 yes. The establishment of the special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district.
Yes.
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 4 yes. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided.
Yes.
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 4 yes. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets.
Yes.
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 4 yes. The special exception will be located in a district where such use is permitted and where all other requirements set forth in 150.193 applicable to the special exception will be met.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It is therefore the decision that the petition for special exception is granted or denied.
Granted.
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 4 granted. Subject to any restrictions? No restrictions. The special exception is approved. I'm going to circulate the special exception document for signatures, and then we'll move on to the variance.
No, I don't have a pen either.
I suppose you don't either. No, I don't feel good here. All right.
While we're waiting for signatures, I want to clarify that the variance will read, the setback will be 25 feet from the property line or 25 feet from the, I want to make sure I'm using the right terminology.
You're 25 feet from the property line.
Okay. With Mr. Haggard's signature, the special exception has been passed on to the city attorney and it has been approved. Now I'll read the findings of fact for the variance, which will allow the construction of this accessory building 25 feet from the property line. We'll go through the same reading of the finding of facts. Number 1, the granting of the variance will not permit any use in any district which will be in conflict with the permitted use of the district under the terms of this chapter.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It will not unreasonably increase the congestion in public streets.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It will not increase the danger of fire or public safety.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area.
Yes.
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 4 yes. It will not in any other respect impair the public health, comfort, safety, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city.
Yes.
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 That is 4 yes. It is therefore the decision of this board that the petition for variance is granted or denied.
Granted.
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 4 yes, the variance to build 25 feet back from the property line is granted. We'll circulate that for signatures. And with the final signature, Ms. Leiter, your special exception and variance have been granted. The remainder of your paperwork will be with the City of Decatur Building Department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy.
We have no more applications before the board this evening. Is there any old business that we need to attend to?
Nothing?
Any old business from the building department? Do we have any new business? Do we have a potential future meeting scheduled?
On tonight, probably a phone call tomorrow. That's all.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Just a
Oh,
moment.
excuse me.
Any additional questions from the board? Any additional questions or comments from the city attorney? Mr. Schultz?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
BZA stands adjourned. We'll take 5 minutes to transition to...
You received the minutes of the previous meeting via email. Are there any additions or corrections to those? Hearing none, I'll call for motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the minutes as of the previous meeting as emailed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The information for the proof of publication and the affidavit are being passed around. I'll give you a second to just get those around. Okay, do I hear a motion to make a proof of publication of the, and also the affidavit for those residents that received information on matter of record?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second to make the proof of publication and the affidavit a matter of record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have before us our first item this evening, the Landmark Group Incorporated requesting site plan review for a new facility, McDonald's Restaurant, 410 North 13th Street, Decatur, reference to City Code 150.330. We will have the applicant present the information. You'll give your name and
My name is George Lucas. I am with Land Water Group, Columbus, Indiana. I'm representing McDonald's USA LLC in this endeavor to rebuild a restaurant at 410 North 13th Street. Thank you for hearing this petition. The restaurant's been around for a long time and it's getting a little tired, and it's time to put up a new building and modernize, so to speak. A redesigned building with a state-of-the-art garage and a more modern kitchen and the capability to expand with the future. The current drive-through right now is not a very good arrangement the way it's set up. Circulation on the site is not very good the way it's set up. If you pull into the south side of the site and you want to go into the building and you can't find a parking place, you're asked to exit the site via public streets and re-enter the site on the other side, either on 12th Street or 13th Street. The whole circulation on the site is cumbersome. Drive-through business is probably 70% of the business that has to work today, and it's going to get bigger. It's going to constantly get more. So it's time to, since we're going to rebuild it, it's time to revisit how the site lays out, and that's what we're going to talk about. It's new design and how it works. So that's all I have.
that's all we have. Okay. Board members, any questions that you have at this time?
Yeah, I just wonder, sir, by any chance you'd do a traffic study? I mean, I know that's not necessary, but to rearrange the exits and the entrances in the manner you did, was there any type of a visual study that went, or are you basing it off of some other buildings that?
Well, no, it's a McDonald's experience. I mean, we have several thousand stores in the system.
I understand.
And one of our new stores, no matter where it is, there is always a circulation to the site, and it's always one way around the site. So when we do that, it kind of limits where you put things. We don't want people driving back and forth in opposite directions. Everything's got to go one way. So when we look at this particular site, to have to pull out onto 13th Street doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially if you want to go south, given the volume and proximity to the intersection. So the way this particular store is set up, 99% of this traffic is going to circulate that site in a counterclockwise fashion, entering and exiting on Nutman Street, where we have close proximity to that traffic light to get them back onto 13th Street. The remaining exit on 13th Street, we just call that a convenience entrance. We don't see a whole lot of use for that. Somebody happens to miss turning onto Nutman Street to get to the site. Okay, I've got this other. I can still get into it, or I can still use going up to Marshall Street to get into it from the rear. But primarily, we see 90% of the traffic exiting and entering the site on Nutman Street.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great layout. I mean, I've honestly been there when people are trying to get out on 13th Street and head south, and it's a fiasco. It really is. They get out in that turn lane to go left on Nutman, and it gets comical sometimes. So yeah,
I'd say it'd be dangerous.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. When I saw the layout, I thought, yeah, it's a great layout. And I commented to my wife, and she said, and I wondered if you did any type of a study. And she just pointed out that there's so many McDonald's stores around, I'm sure they looked at it and saw the best way to locate the the exits and locate the entrances, so.
You say there's no exit going back out to 13th Street? Just
There is one. We're leaving one of the 13th Street exits, entrances as it is. It's currently the most southern entrance to the site, the entrance to the drive-through. That one's, we're just going to leave that there. The northernmost one, where everybody leaves the drive-through, we're going to close that off, and it's just going to, there's not going to be, that will no longer exist.
But there's going to be an exit and an entry over by the liquor store on that?
There will be an exit, the northernmost exit on Marshall Street.
Yeah.
Which will be in close proximity to 12th Street.
That won't be an entry also, entry?
It can be an entry, yes.
Okay.
But we wouldn't, we don't encourage that because it would just mess up drive-through traffic. The people coming in there might want to just, it's basically there for the delivery truck to be able to get off the site without having to circulate the entire site. That's the only reason why we have an entrance at that particular point. And why it isn't further east or west towards 13th Street, the state won't allow it. Anything we get too close to the 13th Street, the state says no way. We can't let you do that.
So will the delivery truck come in off of Nutman and head toward Marshall?
Probably.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly how that delivery system works. When the store changes, it'll change. But yeah, most likely off of Marshall, or off of Nutman on the Marshall.
Any further questions from the board at this point? If not, then, if there's anyone who wishes to speak in opposition, you come forward, give your name and your address.
Dan Chair, I represent Belmont Beverage, I attend 13th Street. I'm also a resident of Decatur at 1221 Kingsbury Drive. I think a major concern that we have are people exiting Marshall, taking a left, and blocking our flow of our traffic in and out. 2 or 3 cars would probably take up half our parking lot. That's our major concern as a company. That, flow into the liquor store and flow out of the liquor store. If that's our only in and out at this point.
Sure, it looks like to me that if anybody would pull out of McDonald's, I don't think they would go left to 13th Street, only because if they wanted that exit, I think they'd use the one at McDonald's farthest west on the 13th Street. I think what you'll see with this traffic coming out of there is they will go take a right on to Marshall and go to 12th Street.
I agree.
That's my feeling.
But that's a feel. So we don't know what's going to happen with the new entrance exit. And that's a concern for us. I would be up to, putting an entrance exit onto 12, or even making that a entrance exit for the delivery trucks only. So if it's something we can gate off, but allow your truck to come in and out, we have no problem with that whatsoever. But once again, I think we faxed something in last week or the week before. 3 cars sitting at that stop sign on Marshall and 13th Street would take up half our parking. There's no way indoor parking or leave at that point. And that's the concern. That's the only issue we have with the plan, is that entrance exit isn't working.
Any other questions of the... Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of? Anyone?
I think the layout looks good. The only question I have is, you got 25 feet of width from curb to curb, and if a tractor trailer comes in there, is that enough width for that truck to negotiate that without coming across the curb?
Yes, because he'll be making a left turn in, so he'll be using virtually the entirety of Nutman Street, I think is where you're talking about. Yeah, it'll be pretty good straight by the time it gets, by the time it gets that.
And I think they're short beds too.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't use the interstate traffic trucks.
Exactly.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Will this new layout then prevent trucks from blocking or sitting on Marshall Street, which would potentially block customers to Bottle Barn?
We have no, well, when he, again, I'm not sure of the circulation. When he leaves the site, I'm not sure if he's going right or left onto Marshall to get back out to the light, or if his intention is to continue north on 27 to deliver to another store, or if he's going south to Portland or to Vernon to deliver there. We don't know. But if he comes out of this, if he pulls out of sight and turns left onto Marshall Street to get back onto 13th Street, yes, there's going to be times that you'll have to sit there and wait till he can go north. I don't see him pulling out of sight. He's going to go south onto 13th Street and utilizing Marshall Street for that purpose.
I'm questioning if that was actually the question the city attorney was asking.
Well, I think apparently I read some comments about that there have been incidents in the past where the truck was actually parked on Marshall. Is that correct?
That wouldn't be.
I think that's the package store.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Dan, is that correct?
No, sometimes, like a customer who drives a semi will park on Marshall and then eat in McDonald's.
Okay.
And we just have to go in there and say, hey, you're blocking all our spaces, you might move your truck.
your delivery trucks will park there too to deliver. I know that I've seen the Budweiser truck. I mean, that's his delivery. He parks there on the street.
Right, usually they face east and they park on the north side of the street, and they take up about half our parking because they go bump up to where the entrance is for the bank. So their nose will be sitting on a bank entrance, and then the back of their rig will be halfway, all the way down our parking.
Could I make a recommendation, or the plan commission make a recommendation, maybe we make that a no parking on the south side of Marshall? Right now, there's no signs there that say anything about no parking, and trust me, I came through McDonald's, hit Marshall, and like run into the back of the truck. I had to stop. I mean, that might be an idea. No parking signs on that side. That would keep trucks from parking there, period.
And that's really a matter that would come before the common council, but it's a recommendation certainly could be made.
No, in that area, the state won't allow a curb cut any closer than what is proposed on Marshall Street. So, is parking restricted in that area if we can't put a curb cut in there? Is street side parking allowed on the south side of that?
Well, that we don't know without looking at state regulations, but what I do know as a citizen driving through town, I've seen trucks parked there quite a bit, and there's nothing there that indicates to the general public that you're not allowed to park here.
So, but my question is, if that's the zone of influence or control of the state, do they control the ability to have parking or no parking in that
No.
150 feet or whatever it is?
That would, well, they can control their right-of-way, you know, if the right-of-way of a state highway
So how far back is
extends
that?
that, but
If it occupies the majority of the space, it essentially is a no parking zone.
We can look into that. We can get hold of the state and see just what the regulations are.
And we checked the city ordinance, and the city ordinance does not address no parking on Marshall between 13th and 12th Street. So, I mean, according to city ordinance, it is allowed.
well, how would they deliver if they couldn't park there?
Deliver to the liquor store or deliver to McDonald's.
He said his trucks go in and out of Marshall.
Right now, they come in There's an entrance off of 12th Street to the north. They will pull in that entrance and across from the drive-through area. Because if you go through the drive-through, you can go out 13th Street. Unless you whip a U-ey real quick, then you can exit back on 12. It's kind of a pain.
Could we remedy this if you would actually put a no left turn at that Marshall exit? I mean, you as a business put a no left turn. I really believe that.
I don't see a problem with
No, I really believe the majority of people is going to go right and go over to 12th Street anyway. But if you would just put a no left turn off of there,
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, Dan,
Well, we're open to anything. McDonald's and the bank have been great neighbors to us. We'll work with any suggestion. We prefer the exit to be on 12th Street. That would guarantee that they would exit on 12th. If by putting a sign there, it's still a suggestion, it's on private property, they can take a left if they want to. It's just a sign. And I think the exit encourages people to exit onto Marshall and possibly take their left and block up our parking.
I know, but the majority of people is going to obey signage, I would think.
They're not going to block their parking if they turn right.
I know where you're coming from, Dan, but that was just a suggestion. I mean,
We would be open to that, yes, we would be open to that. We're not going to, we want McDonald's to remodel, it needs it, we see there's trouble to flow their traffic. We need to do something, or they need to do something. And we see that.
Yep.
We don't want to see that either. It's just that exit really does concern us.
we'll just put a police officer out there sometime, and when they catch those people, we'll just have them.
I know.
I'll sit out there with my code enforcement. I'll sit out there with my code enforcement golf cart and pick them up.
So that it will force them to go right. I've seen those before.
Something that would resemble a traffic bump out?
Yeah. Something would really say, okay, we can't go left here, or if I do, I'm going over to
See that in medians sometimes on highways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would make it difficult for them to go out and even if they take a right, they have to go out with a loop. So yeah, that would hinder them. My suggestion is, like I said, is just to put a sign there, no left turn or right turn only, and to get people swinging right. Because they definitely can get out of there if they go right, and especially like you pointed out, if they're heading south, it'd make it more convenient because they go towards it and get to the traffic light to go left.
Is it impossible to put that exit toward that corner, but put it on 12th Street?
Now you're asking the delivery truck to make a U-turn on the
Well-
12th Street.
Once again, you can also put an exit on the Marshall, but we can keep it blocked off and only the truck can go out.
Any further questions, comments?
Just as a request, I see representatives from First Merchants Bank here this evening. Do you have comments, suggestions, or is this an FYI visit?
A little more FYI than anything. We want to be here if any questions were asked that impacted us. I also understand Belmont Beverage's concerns with traffic backing up. When I use that our Marshall Street exit, if I'm going to go right and go to 13th Street, it's because I'm going north. I try to, upon pain of death, go left out of any business on 13th Street. So I go down to Nutman and I'll use the light if I want to go south. I'll do that if I want to leave Rural King and I want to go north from Rural King. I'm going to go back clear down to 224 and I'm going to come back on the light even though it's longer because it's just, you take your life in your hands and you try to go across traffic on 13th Street. So I hear it and I agree that things go great until that one individual decides, I want to go south and I want to go across all the lanes of traffic. Because I know, in the last 2 years, I know 3 different accidents that have occurred because people wanted to go south. Either, from some point, either be it McDonald's or be it off of Mountain. So it's an understandable concern there that you don't want that individual backing traffic out there.
As a licensed CDL driver, I would just add that making a right turn at the proposed Marshall Street exit right now in a semi really doesn't seem super feasible to go right and get on the 12th unless you're going to weave that intersection and end up going north on 12th. There's no way you're making it right on the Marshall and a right on the 12th in a semi right there. So those trucks leaving that exit are going to go left on Marshall every time, which I think the delivery truck is not the end-all be-all. How often they take a truck, but again, speaking from a CDL perspective, there's no way they're going right on Marshall and right on the fault of the truck.
Any further questions, comments?
I do have one. We've concentrated solely on one aspect of the site plan. Any of the board members have any other issues, requests, or concerns about the balance of the site plan, the other 98% of it? I don't.
We did ask them to add sidewalk, which they did, on what street? Nutman and 12th, right?
13th and Nutman.
13th. West of
See everyone deeply looking at the pictures at this point.
I have no additional questions beyond that.
Any of you? Any questions? So are we able to make this as a final plan, site plan, or?
Kurt, do you have any objection to it being
Final.
preliminary and final?
I have no objection to that, but I do have a few questions for you. When are you going to break ground?
Well, the initial, once we get to this, we'll go to our ILP. The groundbreak would be first of May.
Okay. Where are your architects at with their state release?
They have got state release. The plans are complete. They've been submitted. They haven't been submitted to you that in this meeting.
But you're still waiting on the state release?
I think we've got it.
You've got it? And I need a copy of that in my office as soon as possible. And I also need 2 sets of those prints from my office. Kind of covered this with you before. I'm just going to touch base on it again. This is very important. Very important. I know your contractors have probably put up the same building 1,000 times. However, it's very important you let your contractors know any deviations from the plan. Addendum to the state for the design release has to be done. There's no tolerance policy. We'll issue a stop work order if that's not done. Also, any inspections, the GAR stipulates that your design professionals or a designee from your design professionals, in other words, a third-party agency, do periodic inspections. This office needs a copy of those inspections within 24 hours. If for some reason you can't get them to me within 24 hours, you can give me a call and I go to arrange them. Other than that, that's all I have.
I got one more question. During that time, is that going to interfere with traffic on Marshall or 12th at any time?
No, not in
There won't be any construction vehicles parked there or in and out?
Not supposed to be.
Okay.
What's the project time frame?
78 to 82 days.
Wow.
Do delivery trucks make deliveries throughout the day? Or are there,
Three deliveries a week usually. And they try to do it in off hours when there's not as much traffic on the site or in the area.
From personal experience, it's usually between 5 and 6 a.m.
Early in the morning or very, very early in the morning.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to accept this then as the preliminary and final site plan review?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Can we possibly put in there our recommendation to put a sign, right turn only, or no left turn, or something to that effect to...
you can include
In that-
provisions of any motion that you make.
Okay.
Is that acceptable with you, Jack, to do
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Is there a second with that motion, with that addition
What addition?
of adding the no turn sign, or no left hand?
Is that going to create an issue with the delivery truck getting in and out? Can the delivery truck come in from Marshall Street or not?
No.
Say the way they would convey or unload is that wouldn't work.
Right, so how does this truck can get out of there if we put it...
The truck's going to have to disregard a no left turn sign.
Well, they can turn right.
You did what?
Those are small bed semis.
Do you think that truck can turn right and still get into onto 12th Street
Oh, sure.
without running over this curb?
I think so. I mean, it's not a large semi. I mean, it's just a short bed semi.
And parking is still allowed on the east side of 12th Street, immediately across from McDonald's. If anybody was parked in that area, it would eliminate the option for that truck driver to turn there.
On the 12th Street,
Yeah,
there's no parking on 12th Street, on both sides.
there's a truck sitting there with regularity.
I understand that, but there's no parking on both sides.
I was not aware of that. I guess I just assumed because I always saw vehicles sitting there that it was allowed.
No.
Bill's in Florida.
Bill was in Florida, okay.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Motion been made and second now. Any further discussion?
Wait, I just want to make sure. The
And
motion
clarify
is...
the motion.
Yeah. The motion is to approve the site plan with the requirement that there be a no left turn sign installed at the Marshall entrance exit. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's the motion, that's what was seconded.
Okay, now, discussion. Hearing this discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So I guess you're ready to go.
Thank you.
78 to 82 days sounds pretty fast.
I,
By July, it'll be done.
I hate to tell the guy with a CDL license, but I drove semi for 25 years.
It's raining.
You know, I was just thinking, if those guys or anybody is going to actually... Okay, is there any old business to be brought before the group?
Want to go to the stop sign, you only got about 2 or 3 cars that can do that.
Kurt, Sharon, do you have any old business to be brought?
No, ma'am.
Any new business?
You mean people want to go left towards 13th Street? Is that what
Did
you're
you talk to
saying?
him? You said something about the comprehensive plan, did you?
Oh, forgot all about that.
Back out to the right, you can only park about 1 cars.
Do we have 5 minutes?
Yeah. And there's no stoplight there, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, at a previous City of Decatur redevelopment meeting, there were questions about the comprehensive plan that the City of Decatur has, its currency, and whether it needed reviewed. That is something that has to be spearheaded by the Plan Commission and then recommended to the Board of Works and the Common Council to approve. I'm going to defer to Tim Baker on the 10 years and what is current and what is not current and what our options are.
Okay, well, with any long-term plan, it's subject to review and updating. And if you look at the plan that was adopted back in 2010, there have been a number of things that have been accomplished in that plan. If you recall, Mayor Schultz made it very clear that he was not going to let it sit on a shelf and gather dust. And I think Mayor Meyer has continued the process of implementing that plan. But we're now 8 years into that plan. And so it's probably time to start looking at updating that. One of the things that can be done is kind of incorporating into that any updates with the park plan. We're talking about possible riverfront development at some point. There's talk of upgrades to the aquatic park or layout. So there's a lot of things that potentially could be brought into that. You have to have a fairly current plan in order to seek grants. That's one reason why you're encouraged to keep it fairly up to date, because if you don't, then you're going to disqualify yourself from pursuing that. It's not something that you do overnight. I know in the past, I think Whiteman and Petrie, I believe, was hired back in 2010 to assist in the development of the comprehensive plan at that point. I know their name is different now. Whether you choose to use a firm, it probably makes sense to consider that. That's something that council obviously would have to consider and appropriate funds for. But you know, if you as a body feel that it's appropriate at this point to start considering updating that plan, then that probably needs to be made aware to the council for council to consider appropriating it, whether it's done as an additional appropriation this year or budgeted for it in the next year's budget and doing it then. But you definitely want to make sure that the plan is current because, as I said, if you're looking at pursuing grants, that's one of the criteria. So,
is there a document that lays out the plan?
There's actually a comprehensive plan that, yeah, and it looks at a lot of different aspects of growth, trying to provide for orderly growth within the community. It talks about land uses as well as traffic patterns, as well as you know, it can involve trails throughout the city and these other aspects of city government that also have plans of their own. So,
is the comprehensive plan in its entirety available on the city website? Okay, so it's all available for us to review.
Yep.
But as one of the more senior members of Plan Commission, there have been a couple of times over the years when opportunity presented itself, and during the initial review of said opportunity, currency of our comprehensive plan was questioned, and it detoured us from moving forward expeditiously. So it's just something that needs to be on the shelf and updated and current. As we've had issues with Walmart was the most previous example, when people came in and had questions about whether it was developed in the appropriate place and whether it was zoned correctly. The comprehensive plan was referenced many times on 10 years ago or 10 years earlier. That piece of land was supposed to be another use. And when we retasked that land and did the zoning and rezoning to make that land available for Walmart, the comprehensive plan was repeatedly referred to as not being up to date. So the city took a beating on not being prepared.
At that time, the plan that existed was adopted in 1977.
Well, remember, it was so much
So
back.
that's why it became very contentious in the setting that Greg just described, because it was outdated. And, you know, then you get into the issue of whether it's required to follow what it was included in that because it hadn't been changed. Comprehensive plans generally are viewed as a guide for orderly development. It's not set in stone, so you can deviate from it, but there should be justifiable reasons for that deviation if you're using the plan as it's designed to be used. So I think it probably is good that we start looking into the timing of when we start that process. But again, it's probably something that we may want to bring somebody in to assist us in that regard. I think in the past, you bring in a consultant that helps or facilitates the development and the updating of it.
There is a template that the city is required to follow.
There's certain elements that are mandatory to be
have to have it
included.
in there, and one of the things that the review would do would be to reference any changes in that template.
Yeah.
If there's something new that needs to be required that has to do with fair housing that we're not referencing correctly, or it has to do with gender equality that we're not referencing correctly. Not having the right documentation and words in the current version can preclude us or eliminate us from being eligible for certain programs.
Right. And if you think about it, every legislative session, there are changes in the law. So if you're relying upon a document that was based on law back in 2010, things have changed. So that's another reason why you update the plan.
And I'm certain it would be much easier to update it now than it was the last time.
I'm sure it is.
Because of the time frame we're looking at.
I think it was Whiteman and Petrie.
Whiteman and Petrie, yeah.
I don't know,
But I think they're still an entity, right?
they are, but it's a different company.
different
now.
name.
It's a different name.
Yeah.
That's JPR.
Might be.
Because Kevin LaFleur used to work at Whiteman Petrie. I think it's JPR now. Anyhow. I was
Might be.
curious.
Yep.
So with that discussion, requesting information from city attorney, is it appropriate for us to make a recommendation to Board of Works that they start the ball rolling on that and then submit it to council
I
for
think
approval?
if this body feels that it's appropriate to consider starting the process of updating a comprehensive plan, I think that's a recommendation that then would go to Board of Works and council, because it's going to require council funding. And whether or not that's something that's already built into our existing budget, or it would be done through an additional appropriation if it isn't, or whether it's pushed back and budgeted for in the 2019 budget, that's something council has to decide.
I have no idea what we spent the last time. I'll check the policy to get that. It'd be good to know. So
Well, I would think you'd be able to get the ball rolling now, and if you're going to have someone come in and present how they're going to do it, it could be something that done in 2000.
That you could start in 2019.
By the time you get to the point where you're going to have to start paying for something.
There's going to be some preliminary groundwork, and we're going to have to go through the process of deciding who you're going to use, and then you can, you know, if you know what the cost would be, then you can fund or budget for it.
what is the process for deciding who we're going to use?
Hey.
Do we do a request for proposal? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last time, Ken, you and I and John,
Is that what we scored?
yeah, Yeah, and we had different companies that came in and gave us their ideas on the comprehensive plan, how they would go forward with a comprehensive plan.
You may want to go back, and I don't know if it would be in Sharon and Kurt's office or if Phyllis would have it, but you could probably go back and look at the specifications that were used for requests for proposals, and you probably could work off of that and maybe update it, but that would give you something to work off of to begin with.
So do I hear a motion to recommend to the Board of Work and Council that we begin the process of updating the comprehensive plan?
I will make that motion that we start things in motion, a motion to start things in motion for reviewing the procedure to upgrade and update the comprehensive plan for the city of Decatur. That is my motion.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you. Anything else to be brought before the group? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, do you have another meeting set up? I should ask you for it.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made to adjourn and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned, 5:30.